pleasure to give the Stellar Citizen Award to Billy Carson.
Thank you so much.
I am so proud of you. You have no idea.
Thank you. You guys got me good.
This is an exclusive interview as part of our ongoing coverage of the Awakening UFO and Conscious Life Expo here in Blackpool, Europe's premier consciousness event where we're really trying to draw parallels between the metaphysical, the spiritual, the paranormal, and ufology, and of course, ancient civilizations. I'm Kristen Gillespie, your conscious investigative reporter, and we have a very special interview for you today. I'm joined by Billy Carson. Thank you, Billy.
Hello, thank you so much.
Thank you for being here with us today. Billy, where do we start? Your presentation really focused in on Egypt and your travels to the Pyramid of Giza and other sacred sites in that area. Why are you focusing in on that particular ancient civilization?
Well, I believe it's one of the most well-known and plus one that we can easily get access to. A lot of these ancient sites are very hard to get access to, and so because Egypt is so accessible, we can get to Giza. We've got aerial footage, we've got satellite footage, we have ground penetrating radar, we have LiDAR, and we have, the capability now of going into these pyramids. I've traveled all inside of the Pyramid of Giza and all throughout the underground shafts, and so we know a lot. We don't know everything, but we know a lot. And when you start really looking at the surrounding area of Giza on the plateau, you begin to come up with a lot of incredible mathematical coincidences.
That's right. That's what really captured my attention, is all the sacred geometrical references that your research has pulled together. What do you feel is the most notable mathematical or numerological discovery you've made?
I believe the fact that the Great Pyramid is a lot of, I would say, geological information programmed into the construction itself. So the Great Pyramid is the average height of the land mass on Earth. So the average height of all the peaks and hills and valleys on Earth, some way, in some form, they had a polar orbiting device that was able to look at the Earth as it spun on its axis so they can get all the topography and calculate how many peaks, what the heights of these peaks were, and able to then divide them by the total number of peaks to get the average height and then build the Great Pyramid to that exact height. That's incredible. Plus, the Great Pyramid also has encoded into it the distance to the sun, the distance to the moon, the speed of the Earth around the sun, and the speed of the Earth around the galaxy, and also the speed of our galaxy in the universe. So this is like mind-blowing information programmed into the architecture of the pyramid itself.
It is mind-blowing. And what does it suggest about the ancient civilization of Egypt and maybe even predating Egypt, Atlantis?
Yes, so Atlantis was a global civilization. One of their headquarters was in the land of Chem, according to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And Thoth is one of the Natiru of ancient Chem. He ruled over the land of Chem for 14,000 years, according to the ancient Egyptians. This is pre-dynastic, before the dynastic era. The dynastic era Egyptians inherited all this knowledge and wisdom. The majority of a lot of these structures were already there. And they were taught, some of the wisdom was taught to them, and they were able to continue to develop some. But the further you go forward in time, the less advanced the technology gets in building these structures.
What is the link between Atlantis and the Anunnaki?
The Anunnaki are those who came from heaven to earth. And so Anunnaki is a generalized term. So like if we left Earth and went to Mars and we met some Martians, we would call ourselves Earthlings, right? We wouldn't say I'm a Floridian or somebody from British, from London or England. We would say Earthling, a generalized term. The Atlantean were the beings that actually were really the Anunnaki. So it was Anunnaki, Atlanteans. They were one and the same.
Oh, fascinating correlation. That's actually a total revelation to me. Now, I'm wondering if there are any sacred texts. You're an expert in, obviously, the Book of Enoch, the Emerald Tablets. Do they support your Atlantean theory?
Absolutely. I mean, Atlantis is mentioned many, many times in a lot of the ancient texts, especially the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which date back over 36,000 years. As a matter of fact, the Thoth, the Atlantean priest king of the land of Chem, who the Egyptians call Thoth, he's depicted with the ibis bird beak, which is really not his real face. It's just a symbology of him bringing darkness to light. but he calls himself the son of Atlantis. And so when he would appear to men in different regions of the world, and they would drop to their feet to worship him as a god because he comes on this flying dragon and he's got all this technology, they thought he was a god. And he would tell them, no, no, rise up, stand up. I am here because I'm a son of Atlantis. I'm here to bring you wisdom and knowledge.
Billy, it seems you have a very personal connection to Thoth.
Yeah, yeah. I dug into the Emerald Tablets so deeply over the last, I would say, 12, 13 years, going through them hundreds of times, and coming to the realization that this information was so vitally important, not only to me, but to the world, because I really do believe that it is part of the missing piece of the puzzle to help us reach a certain level of enlightenment. And so that's why I decided to write the book, Compendium of the Emerald Tablets, because I want to break down every single verse in a way that people can really understand, digest, and actually discern the information and utilize it in their life.
And I'm going to shift gears a bit, but I'm wondering what the correlation is between Thoth, the Atlantean civilization, all these megalithic sites that you have personally experienced, and the mechanics of creation, creating your own reality in a holographic universe.
Yes, it's amazing. Thoth covers all of this in the Emerald Tablets, right? And so the opening scene in the Emerald Tablets, he's told by his father, who's actually Ea Enki, also known as Thoth in the Emerald Tablets, to go to the land of Chem and help re-kickstart civilization because there was a great flood. Now, notice that one of the most important phrases is he wants them to bring civilization back to a high level, meaning it was already at a high level in the past, before the flood. So this is post-diluvial civilization had been destroyed by a flood, and now they want to bring it back up to a high level. So Thoth goes there, he gets into the ship of the master, and he ascends into the sky. Well, he takes a crew with him too. And so they go up, not out on an ocean or a river or a stream. They go up into the sky till the earth disappears. Then they appear at the place appointed by them, which is the land of Chem, and they look beneath them and see one of the temples coming out of the mud. So they're obviously in the sky. As they say, they descend on the land of Chem and the hairy barbarians, because now several generations have gone by and the people have become barbaric again. They have lost their technology, their high civilization. They're living in caves and everything else, according to the book, the text. And so Thoth lands. When he opens his door to his ship and his crew walks out with him, these barbarians come to attack him. And he raises his staff and he sends out a ray of vibration, which actually freezes them and stops them like fragments of stone on the mountain, it says. So he has a stun gun or a stun weapon of some sort 36,000 years ago. And when I looked into this, I said, could this be a real piece of technology? Well, we have something called the active denial system in the US military, where it's a beam of vibration that goes out at a crowd of people coming to riot or attack, and it will freeze you in where you are. It'll make you turn and run. It can make you feel like you're on fire. It can make you feel like somebody's putting words in your head. It can even make you sick. So it's incredible. We have the same technology now that existed back then. And then he started talking to these people about, I'm here to help you and raise you up to a high level of civilization. So once they did that there and re-kickstarted civilization, he told his crew, spread out around the planet. This is why everything is the same everywhere you go on Earth. He said, I want you to go around this planet and duplicate what we did here. And so they spread out around the planet Earth, and they went and took capitals of Atlantis, a capital in this region, a capital in that region. So the ring city of Atlantis was just one capital of dozens of capitals that existed on Earth. That ring city was not Atlantis. That was just one capital. The entire planet was Atlantis.
Do you think it even extended beyond the planet into the galaxy?
It definitely extended beyond the planet, because these beings came and went. And when you look into a lot of the space probe data that we have from the space agencies, you can see similarities and anomalies in space and on other planets like the Moon and Mars specifically, because we have the most data from there, that resemble ancient structures that we have in Peru and Egypt, in Cambodia. And so all these similarities can't be coincidence. I believe that it was a interplanetary civilization, maybe even intergalactic. When I went to Sydney, Australia, back in 2019, or it was actually the beginning of 2020, right before the lockdown happened. And I went out into the bush at Carryong 9 with some Aboriginal elders to look for the Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs that were out there. We stumbled across them, we found them, documented them. It's a place called they call them the Gosford Glyphs. They tell an incredible story, and they've been verified as Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs, authenticated, 5,000 years old. And so what's interesting about this site is you see that these, they had come all the way from Egypt to Australia to learn this information, to learn knowledge and wisdom from the Aboriginal elders. And the Aboriginal elders say that they were seated on this planet. Their handed down verbal history for thousands of years is that they were brought here and seated on this planet by Pleiadians. And they're saying that these beings came here and brought them here from the Pleiadian star system. When you dig into ancient texts, even deeper, like the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian Vedas, you find out about these galactic wars that happened millions of years ago in the Pleiadian star system. Then you had this situation where planets were being destroyed. You had space refugees, people fleeing from that region or that sector of the galaxy and moving into this sector of the galaxy, inhabiting different star systems, Orion, Sirius, Aldebaran, and all these other places. And some, Earth, creating a new breakaway civilization here, as well as a few other planets, one in the Enuma list called Nibiru, which orbits a brown dwarf star that orbits our sun. So it's pretty interesting that these beings, they had already obtained long time ago, maybe a million years ahead of us, intergalactic travel and interplanetary travel.
Was Atlantis once an abundance civilization?
Super abundant. It was a golden age. They had reached a golden age on this planet. They had developed this planet to the point, and also the moon, Mars, and other moons of other planets in this solar system. This whole solar system was experiencing a huge, high-tech golden age for a very long period of time before the fall, before deceit, greed, and all these dark, Thoth calls them the Dark Brothers. They returned on this cycle. And they came back and they started creating this downfall of the golden age, which caused the cycle to fall again. And so these Dark Brothers would show up at times in different civilizations. He even says he would travel to other worlds and watch civilizations rise and fall. So it's pretty amazing stuff.
Where do you think we are as humanity on the Earth plane in that cyclical range of the rising and falling of civilizations?
Well, if you look at the Yuga cycle, particularly like the Kali Yuga, I think that we're in the Tetra Yuga cycle right now, which is the beginning of a silver age. So we've already gone through the bronze and the gold, and we're heading up into the bronze, and the silver at the very beginning, and we're moving up towards a gold again. So we're at the very beginning of a silver age where we're in a very crucial place right now. We have the ability to ascend and accelerate that process back towards the golden age, or we can actually get stuck here for a while and actually move backwards a little bit. Now, the cycle always completes, but there's, it's an average amount of time, maybe 27 to 30,000 years, the cycle completes and goes back and forward. But right now, we're at a precipice as a species on this planet, and we have the potential to really excel towards that golden age. And one of the most amazing things and why I'm really involved in this work is because there is no text that I've ever read, and I've gone through 1,000 cylinder scrolls, scriptures, papyruses, everything you could think of, cylinder scrolls, and all these ancient texts and writing and travel the world. Nowhere have I seen where it says a golden age has to fall. It talks about golden ages everywhere, high civilization, high golden ages, and extended periods, lifespans extended, and all these amazing things happening. But nowhere have I seen where it says it has to fall again. It just says that there are cycles, but nobody's talking about how do we end the cycle. So could this be one of the cycles that we not only achieve a golden age, but we also maintain it and sustain it? It's the ultimate goal.
One of the things that we know about Atlantis is the imbalance of technology versus spirituality, or the sacred masculine versus the sacred feminine.
Yeah.
And that could even relate to Lemuria and Mu. So what are your feelings around getting that balance right, and what can we learn from the Atlantic cataclysms now that we are at this precipice?
Right. It's so important for us to really look into the ancient past because the past is prologue. And so when we analyze what happened in the ancient past, we'll see that the Atlanteans didn't have the perfect balance. At some point, there was an imbalance between technology, knowledge, wisdom, and jealousy, and all the other dark things that roll back in and come along with that. I think that if we understand what happened then, we can change our future for where we're going. Right now, we're going back in a very masculine energy with unbalance. If you go to Egypt, for example, go to Cairo and just look around, you can see that the female energy has been completely suppressed. Everything is one color. There's no plants, no flowers. Everything is dirty. It looks like a giant bachelor pad. I'm just being honest. And so what does that mean? It means there's no feminine input. Now take that on the galactic scale. You see what I mean? We got a gigantic galaxy right now that is just teeming with life, but this sector that we're inhabiting right now, We're on a frequency doesn't have enough feminine energy, and the balance is off. Look at all the wars around the world. Who have initiated these wars? Men, primarily. So we have to find this balance and bring it back, because until we balance with the feminine energy and take away this male dominance mindset and this technocratic male dominance mindset and get the balance back with feminine energy, we're gonna have a tough time getting back to a golden age. At some point, we have to honor that feminine energy and recognize it and become in balance and in harmony with it.
You're such a role model to so many people in this world, especially in the alternative community.
Thank you.
I'm wondering what that actually looks like in our individual lives.
Yeah. It's a lot of responsibility, Everywhere you go, you're being looked at, you're being watched. You never know if you're being videotaped. Everything you say is being recorded or saved. Every tweet, every post, everything you do is under a microscope. It becomes part of your natural life, but I use it as an opportunity not to be like, why are these people just looking at me and following me all over the place or talking to me? I look at it, this is a teaching. Every opportunity is a teaching opportunity. Every post I make, every tweet I make, everything I do on social media, everything I do on any show or TV, everywhere I go in public is a teaching opportunity just by the way I live my life. And so that's the way I look at it. So I flow and I move in the way of I'm always a teacher. And anybody watching can learn something from me at any moment.
I've learned so much from you over the years. You're a great teacher and a master, in my opinion. I know you received that with humility. Yeah. And that is one of the reasons that you earned a very special award last night.
Wow.
It was the Stellar Citizen Award for Philanthropy and Teaching.
Yeah.
And I was actually sat behind you.
Oh, man.
You didn't know this award was coming. And when you kind of tweaked it, I saw you get quite emotional. What does it mean to you?
It got me pretty good. I'm still a little choked up. I didn't expect anything, because you do this not really expecting, You guys got me again. Oh, man. You don't really expect anything from this stuff, because there's nobody really out here to appreciate it, in terms of like giving you something physical form to say, you get a lot of handshakes and kisses and thank yous and everything else, but to get that level of appreciation from this was just amazing. It totally caught me off guard. My sister flew in from Germany, and that was like amazing, because nobody from my family has ever seen me speak or talk or do anything. Even when I was a kid playing sports at a very high level, my parents never even came to one of my games. So I'm used to just being solo and not having anybody around to appreciate anything that I've accomplished. And so when I get there on the first night, I'm inside the restaurant and I see my sister's name on the table at the restaurant. I'm in the hotel and I'm like, why is my sister's name on the table? Oh, they must have thought she was Elizabeth. Maybe whoever researched this thing got Maria mixed up with Elizabeth, my director of operations and my life partner. And so I just said, Elizabeth played it off. Oh yeah, they probably mixed up our names. And then I'm texting on WhatsApp my sister, thinking she's in Germany, saying, "You missing dinner right now. You're supposed to be here." She goes, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in the UK." And she goes, "Oh, really?" And she taps me on my shoulder. So this whole thing was arranged. And I still didn't know about the award, but now my sister's here. So now I'm really happy and excited. I'm like, oh my God, my sister's here. And we have a very special relationship. So that was huge for me. And then the night of the award, I was supposed to end my presentation exactly in 1 hour, and I went over. I begged for 5 more minutes, if you remember. And Vitaly told me that there was a couple that was going to propose at the end of my speech. And I needed to end right there because they're going to propose. And so when I saw Giorgio come out, initially I thought he was going to announce this proposal, but then he started talking about an award. So I got worried that I had let Vitaly down because I messed up this proposal, this wedding proposal, which didn't exist. And so he got me good there. And then Giorgio starts talking, and I'm thinking, who's going to get this award? I'm thinking all the panelists and everybody else. I'm like, who? Did they fly some? This sounds like a lifetime achievement thing or something. Did he fly somebody in here or something? And my God, it was such a blessing. And I'm so grateful and thankful that, I got some flowers, while I'm still here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have to credit our Zohar editor, Jerry, for putting together a compendium of photographs of your childhood.
Yeah.
And it was really, really moving to be a part of that. And more than anyone else I've ever met, you deserve it, Billy.
Thank you. I was like, how'd they even get all these photos? It was the craziest thing. It was well put together. I was completely blown away. Yeah.
Were some of those photos you've never seen before?
I had seen them, but I haven't seen them in decades, probably. You know, I mean, my mother passed away 14 years ago today from Lou Gehrig's disease, and after she passed away, a lot of family members went to the house and started gathering up all her stuff. You know, aunts and so forth, without even the kids telling the kids, "Hey, you know, come get some of your mom's stuff or whatever." And so a lot of stuff just vanished, and I didn't really get a chance to collect a lot of things. And so it was just miraculous that they were able to get these, you know, these things together, and they were saved. Yeah.
And you are really showing the virtue of humility even now as we speak. And I know how much you honor living a life of service, true service. Now, what does that mean, and why is that so important right now at this precipice?
Well, imagine if everyone lived in a life of service to others, where you, not that you're putting yourself ahead of put other people ahead of you, because you have to take care of yourself too. That's important. But also realizing that while I'm out here taking care of myself, how much percentage of myself can I give away to somebody else without dimming my light too much? Because you have to have, you know, when you get on an airplane, the first thing they say to you is, if we have a decompressed cabin and the oxygen mask drops, make sure you put it on your mouth first before helping somebody else. So you have to have that flow coming to you first. But once you have that flow of abundance, now it's your job to spread that to other people. How much people can you help? And it could be something as simple as, I'm in the grocery store buying groceries. You know somebody's at home that can't get out, maybe suffered from an illness or sickness during this whole situation that happened, or an injured person, or a paralyzed person, or somebody that just doesn't have the finances. Is there anything I could pick up from the store for you? Whether it's, you know, a loaf of bread or a gallon of juice or something. It can be something as small as that, or it can be even bigger. So sometimes people limit themselves to what they can do to help people because they think it has to be this huge multi-$1,000 thing or multi-million-dollar thing. It can just be something as simple as a little bit of assistance here and there. And it just goes a long way. So being of service to others really is a way of paying it forward and giving everybody, and if everybody starts doing that, it gives everybody an incentive to help other people. And it also then really allows you to live in a version of yourself which operates in unconditional love for everyone. And with that frequency going around the planet, there's no way we can't make it to a golden age.
Going beyond being of service to others, you have made it a life mission to learn as much as you can about as much as you can.
Right.
Why is it so important that we continue to open our minds to knowledge?
Yeah, because when you open your mind to knowledge and you gain that wisdom and that understanding, you then have the capability of acting on it. Where a lot of people will take in knowledge and then don't act on it, put no action behind it at all. So knowledge isn't power. A lot of people say knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. It's only applied knowledge that becomes power. And when you apply it, then you have the power to change the world. And so, unfortunately, the people that run this planet, they know this. So they have attained all of the knowledge. They hoard that knowledge. But then they use the knowledge, they put action, they apply it, but they apply it for darkness. Well, we can apply the same exact knowledge for light. The original mystery schools were originally about teaching light and how to achieve higher levels of consciousness, how to raise your vibration and how to spread that around the world. It wasn't about this darkness and all these occult and secret societies. That came out much later based on the teaching of the mysteries. So the ancient mysteries have been taken and then twisted, and somebody realized, oh, I can use this for darkness and have the same amount of power on the dark side. Kind of like Star Wars, right? You have the Jedi and you have the Sith and this stuff. So it's the same exact thing, there's no difference. And so it's important for people to understand and gain as much knowledge as possible. That's why I don't focus just on one thing. I mean, I can talk about ancient civilizations, I can talk about quantum physics, I can talk about spirituality, esoteric wisdom, you know, aerospace, astrophysics, whatever you want to talk about, I can have a great conversation with you because I dedicate my life to gaining as much knowledge as I possibly can so that I can reach out and touch different people in different places, wherever they are, whatever level they're on, you know? And so that gives me the capability of being kind of like an ambassador and having the capability of taking people, connecting with them, and trying to help them get to the next level, or connecting with them and they can help me get to another level as well.
And that's why it's a challenge to interview you, because it's very difficult to hone in on one particular subject matter. And I know we're bouncing around here a bit, but you did mention sort of the false matrix, if you were. You made reference to it in different words. And obviously there's an agenda at play here. How can we apply wisdom to exiting the matrix, so to speak, and making sure that we are returning to our organic template?
Yeah, great question. In order to do this, we have to become unified as people on this planet. all these divide and conquer tactics that the elites use to create this matrix of separation. Separation is an illusion. And we have people thinking this color is better and that color is better and this information is better than that and this language is better than this language and this spirituality is better than this. That's just craziness. When we come to the point on this planet where we realize, we meaning the 99%ers of the world, when we realize that basically the world is ours, this is our planet that we've given away to 1%. There's less than 100 people who tell us what to eat, smell, think, taste, touch, hear, and how to love one another, how to even love ourselves. We have 8 billion people being controlled by less than 100 people when you really look at this thing. This is why these advanced beings, they're just watching and looking and waiting to say, you know what, we're not going to really truly fully intervene 100% until they grow up. We're in the infancy stages of wisdom and knowledge. And so in order to exit this matrix that they've put us into, we've got to unify. When we tear down these walls of this divide and conquer techniques and tactics and the illusion of the financial system that they've put on us and the labor systems and all these other matrices that exist, and we begin to love one another and unify, there's only one thing we need to do to exit the matrix. And it has nothing to do with rioting. We're not going to go to war against any militaries. We're not going to picket and run down the street crying. We're not going to do all this crazy stuff. We just have to stand up and say no. And when we stand up and say no to them, the game is over. No more mortgages, no more loans, no more debt, no more gas, no more food. We're going to have stocked up, or we'll have been already negotiating. We'll just stock up on stuff and we'll sit back for 3 or 4 weeks. 1 billion people stop for 3 or 4 weeks, just stop everything and shut down the entire planet and say, hey, now you negotiate with us because this is our planet and we're taking back control of this planet. We'll tell you guys what to do. Right now, the way that the governments are set up, and I know this may be a little controversial for the network, but it's set up in a way that we think that we work for them. It's actually the opposite. The governments are employed by us. They work for us. When you go to a doctor tells you what to do. You think the doctor's your boss. No, you're paying the doctor. The doctor works for you. You have the right to tell the doctor, no, I don't think so. This is what's going on with my body, but we don't do that. Attorneys, the same. All the service-based industries, we think that they are over us. It's actually the opposite way. We are over them. We employ them. We pay them. And when we realize that and take back control of our sovereignty and unite as one and say, hey, for this week, everybody's going to say no. We're going to stop playing the game for a week. Let's see how that goes. And that includes military, that includes police forces, that includes everybody, because when everybody realizes that we're all in this thing together, everything stops. And when everything stops, we win.
We are most indeed the override frequency code to that inversion grid that you are referring to.
Yeah.
I actually first learned about the fake fiat Babylonian money magic system from you.
Oh, wow.
And you obviously focus in on creating financial abundance.
Yeah.
There's a commonly held belief within the alternative or spiritual communities that being spiritual means we can't be wealthy.
Right.
Why are you trying to turn that on its head?
Because in order for us to really take back control of this planet and have some impact on the systems and the matrix that they've designed, we have to infiltrate from the inside out. And that means we have to have financial means. Without financial means, we can't really have an impact on what's going on because we can't make the power connections. We can't get to the people that have positions of power that can press buttons and change rules and laws. It all takes finances. We have to learn this financial matrix that they've put us in and master it the way that they have, so we can maneuver through it in a way that allows us also to build legacy for our families and the capability of getting on the level where they are financially, so we can have a financial impact on these systems that have been put in place and start to make the changes from the inside out. It's the Trojan horse technique is what I call it.
What other tactics or strategies do you believe the powers that were are really operating right now?
Well, they're operating on a format where they're trying to keep us mentally enslaved and financially enslaved without us knowing that we're enslaved. They want us to continue to do the labor, the work, and create the revenue and all the different products and services that they need to operate and maneuver in their power structures, and have us thinking that's our life. And it's a great life if you can work till you're 65, 70, and that you can travel for about 2 or 3 years after that, and then you're in a rocking chair and then you die. And so by keeping us in this cycle where we can't live really past 75, 80, we don't have enough time to gain the true wisdom and knowledge and understanding that we need to be able to control our incarnation. And so I think that sometimes it could take a person 1,000, 2,000 years to get to a level of enlightenment spiritual enlightenment, where they can actually control their incarnation, as Thoth talks about in the Emerald Tablets. He can incarnate at will on and in the plane he desires. But that takes a long period of time. I think it took him 10,000 years. So it's an amazing time. Now, our lifespans have been shortened. We know this already because of chromosome number 2 in the body and the telomere caps that have been put on chromosome number 2. We know it's a genetic mutation that happened about 200,000 years ago in genetics. It's taught in colleges and universities. It's not a secret. And they're now experimenting on how to stop that from happening. So they've been experimenting with telomeres at Harvard. They got mice to live 3 times their normal lifespan, which means they know how to do that to humans as well. This is another important reason why we as the people on this planet have to take back control of this planet and our sovereignty, because if we don't, then they'll sell us time too.
I'm going to take us from anti-aging and telomeres right back to the whole prison planet theory. Do you subscribe to that philosophy?
It's an interesting concept. Now, if you look at it from the perspective of our lifespans have been shortened, and when we pass away at such an early age, and I mean, even if you die at 90, that's an early age, that's a very young age. On a geological time scale, 90 is less than a blink of an eye. And so when you look at it from that perspective, you pass away and you incarnate back again. It could be possible that there's a way to keep these souls recycling on the planet over and over again, because nobody can ever reach an age where you get enlightened. And because now it's possible to be enlightened by 90 or 80 or even 70 or even 50, but what happens is when you're born, you're given a name, a race, and a religion, and you spend the rest of your life defending a false identity. And so that system is locked into you, and especially the first 7 years of your life, that programs who you're going to be as a grown man. The churches knew this, the government knows this. This is why that indoctrination starts at a very early age, and then you become the person they create from those first 7 years. And so, by that method, it seems like it could be possible. It's a great hypothesis. I do also believe that incarnation is not just locked into a timeline. Some people say they've experienced previous lives, and I believe that. But also, you can come back, because in a higher dimension, the past, present, and future exist all at once. You can actually incarnate on any timeline in the past, what we would call the past, the present, or the future, on the same timeline you were on, or even in a different timeline, maybe even in a different solar system, or maybe even a different universe. And you can even incarnate back as a different gender or even race. You're not locked into, this is who I am. I'm a man, and I'm an African-American man, and every time I come back, I'm going to be this same guy. I can come back as a female, in a different race, on a different planet.
Who would you choose to come back as?
Well, as long as my energy is the same, I'm happy. Your energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed. Second law of thermodynamics. So as long as my energy is the same, I'm happy. My energy is always going to do exactly what it's doing right now, no matter how I look.
Do you believe you perhaps are a reincarnation of Thoth?
It's possible. I've read so much of his work, and I know that when you read information that somebody else has written, you're downloading information directly from their consciousness. Because the thoughts that you put into a book start off in a multidimensional platform, which is your conscious thought, which is multidimensional. You then take that information, you put it down into a one-dimensional format on lines on a piece of paper. Now, so you take multidimensional concepts and you put them into a one-dimensional format, then somebody comes and opens it, and then they actually look at it, and that information is then transferred from photons back into the eye, goes to the back of the brain, it gets converted, and that information gets decoded and then downloaded into your consciousness. So what you've done now, I've downloaded his consciousness so many times, thousands of times, you know what I mean? So a fractal of him exists in my brain, in my conscious thoughts. It exists, there's no doubt about that. So by that method, he's incarnated into anyone who studies his work extensively.
Billy, what is the single most important message from Thoth coming through you right now?
The single most important message is every single human being is going to go through darkness. It's a part of who we are. It's like a baby that is learning how to walk. And what is walking? Walking is a series of controlled falls. A baby reaches up for an edge of a table or an edge of a bed, it takes a step, falls down. Humanity falls down from time to time. And it looks like everything is going wrong and everything is being destroyed and we can't get our act right. But then we lean up on the couch or the table again, we stand up again, we take another step and we take another step. Eventually, falling is a symbol of darkness, but then you get up. And when you get up and start learning how to take steps, learning how to control your fall, because that's what walking is, you then have the capability of walking towards the light. So the ultimate message is walking towards the light consistently. When you fall, don't let that get you down. Don't make it seem like the world is ending or everything is going wrong and we're doomed. It's not that. It's that falling is part of learning how to walk.
That's a very inspirational message. Do you believe that failure exists?
Well, failure is very interesting because like a lot of people will call that taking a loss, but that L stands for learn. And if every failure that you have, you use it as a learning experience, you're going to gain more ground on the next time. If it wasn't for failure, none of us would be sitting here because from the time you're born, everything you attempt is failure. The first time you attempt to even put a bottle in your mouth or a nipple in your mouth, you might fail the first couple times just to get the food and the sustenance that you actually need. Every time when you're growing up, you try to go to the potty. You might not make it a couple times, right? That's failure. But you learn from those failures that, oh, I got to make it to the potty. When I feel this sensation in my body, I got to get to the potty. Simple things like that. So failure is actually a part of life. And when we understand that failure is normal, but to learn from it, because not only then learn from it, then time travel with your mind, understanding that, okay, let me analyze the situation I'm getting ready to get into. What things can possibly go wrong with this? You can't always find everything, but you can start to predict what possibilities could happen based on your decisions. This is the principle of cause and effect. And if you can do that and then make adjustments before the failure occurs, now you become a genius, because a genius solves the problem before it happens.
Billy, I know that you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk.
Thank you.
What does a day in the life of Billy Carson look like? And please tell me more about your daily devotional practice.
Yeah. Whew, it's a lot. I remember I had a couple of people come to mentor with me. I was mentoring, and 2 days they had to go home, but they couldn't hang out. But typically, I lay down around midnight and get up around 4 a.m. And then from 4 a.m. to about 5 o'clock, I'll do my meditation and my thought experiments. I call them thought experiments, where I just experiment with concepts in my mind. Then I get to work, and I'll start working on my computer, catching up on emails, text messages, projects that I'm working on, new projects I want to create, movies and shows that I may be writing, documentaries I'm working on. Typically between that time and 6:30 a.m., I've done a full day's work of a normal person. And then I get ready for breakfast. I eat breakfast exactly at 7 a.m. almost every single day. Even here, at 7 a.m., I'm inside the restaurant at 7 a.m. when the doors open. I want to be the very first person when the doors, most restaurants open at 7 a.m. for breakfast. I don't eat breakfast at home. I have a routine that I like to get out, give me a chance to get out because I'm sitting down a lot, get me moving around. And so I eat that breakfast before anybody gets to the restaurant. That way there's not a lot of people, not a lot of energy there, and I get a lot more thought done. Usually I'm reading a book, listening to an audio book and reading a physical book at the same time. And so 2 different books, but 2 books simultaneously, which I've now, from practice, I think anyone can do it. I've gotten up to about 80%, I can retain about 80%. And so I'll do that while I'm eating my breakfast, and then from there I go back and I let it digest for about 30 minutes, and I'll go work out for about an hour, hour and a half. Then I'll come back and get back to work again. And from there, it's just a hectic day of calls, Zooms, meetings, podcasts, videos, it's just a nonstop whirlwind. And before you know it, it's back to nighttime again, And you got to take a little minute for some personal time, which I do. Take a little, couple hours, 2-3 hours of personal time. And then it's time to wind the night down. And then, it's back to the cycle again. But if I'm traveling, it becomes a little more difficult to stay on that cycle, but you try to keep up as much of it as you possibly can when traveling. In events like this, obviously it's hard to maintain that exact cycle, but I've been pretty busy the whole time. I've been working all day since I ate breakfast at 7 a.m. and I've been working, until I got here.
What was the most poignant idea that came out of your thought experiment today?
Today, my most poignant idea would be the fact that I'm looking to create a Forbidden World tour. And so we made a mental commitment to it today, and we're going to not only do it, but we had the concept of it, but we now know after coming to this event exactly how we want to do it, what we want to see in it, and how we want it to operate. And so this event has been very enlightening to us because of that.
Billy, I wanted to ask you about one of the documentaries that you're working on, the Black Knight satellite. Tell me more.
Well, the Black Knight satellite is an object that's orbiting Earth. It is an object that's in a polar orbit. In other words, it's orbiting pole to pole, not around the equator, which is pretty interesting because we couldn't do that until the 1980s, officially, really perfected. And so this object, has made course corrections in the past. It was written up in Time magazine in 1960. It has signals coming from it in all people from the 50s and the 60s, even in 1900s. Tesla had detected this thing up there. And the signal is giving the location of a star system called Epsilon. in the Boötis constellation. And it's an interesting thing because Boötis is owned by the Sumerian god Enlil. So they attribute it to him. He actually owns the constellation. So I started looking into this going, what is the connection here? Because when I looked into the ancient texts, Enlil had an all-seeing eye. He can see anything going on the planet at all times. Well, you would need a polar orbiting satellite to do that. Not an equatorial satellite, but a polar orbiting satellite allows you to see what's happening as the Earth spins on its axis. It's scanning the Earth consistently, giving you an idea of population densities, who's doing what, who's got crops, who doesn't have crops, all the topography, all the water, everything, even locations where there could be gold or other precious gems, all that information can be taken from a polar orbit. He had one of these. And so because it's giving off the location of Epsilon, and because he actually owns Epsilon, and this object is dating back, according to the signal, between 11 to 13,000 years, I believe it lines up with the ancient Sumerians and these Anunnaki that came to Earth, these Anunnaki Atlantean people. And I believe that that object is a remnant of that ancient civilization that could be still collecting data on us and scanning and looking to see when we obtain a certain level of technology, space travel, or what level of war will we get to where, will it have to intervene or not intervene. So it's pretty interesting. And that documentary actually was released 3 weeks ago in limited movie theaters. And it was a hit. We had a huge red carpet event for the premiere. And now it's streaming on Forbidden Knowledge TV right now. And it's one of our top documentaries.
And thank you for also featuring my documentary on your streaming channel, Forbidden Knowledge TV.
Yeah.
That was a real moment for me that you picked it up. Billy, you mentioned war. I don't think it's a secret within our community that we are indeed caught up in a galactic war. I want to bring the conversation back full circle to where we started, just to ask you, how can we stop humanity from self-destructing?
Well, that's a great question. The first thing we have to do is we have to, these systems that have been put in place to trick us into hating one another have to be broken and collapsed. And the systems that they use are these financial systems. They use the educational systems because that's where you can put the most propaganda, especially when a person is being brought up. And we have to realize that these dictators that start these wars, they don't themselves go to any war. These guys are sitting in $3,000 and $4,000 suits and like $10,000 suits behind desks, sending young kids to go attack and kill people halfway around the world that they don't even know who they are. And so at some point, we as a people have to stand up and say enough is enough. And we have to start teaching our kids that war is not the answer, that serving your country where it comes to a point where you're killing people, innocent women and children that you don't even know, and for not even what purpose, that the majority of these wars are created for profit. It's profiteering. Even the war that's going on right now with Russia and Ukraine is all about making a profit. And so we have to start teaching our kids early that that's not the way. We have to ingrain it into them early instead of letting the propaganda get to them that make them think that they're going to help create freedom for us and others when it really is all death and destruction.
Billy, what do you foresee for the future of humanity?
I see a great and a bright future, which is why I'm in this work. I don't see some people may want to call me an optimist, but I don't see it as optimistic. I see it as realist. I see that we have so much potential as a species, and I believe that light will always outdo the darkness. If you look at this room right now, it's lit up brightly, right? But I can't take out a tiny little dot of darkness and make this room go dim. This room is still going to be well lit. However, if I turn all the lights off in this room and I take out a lighted pen or my cell phone flashlight and turn it on, the darkness will flee from the light. So light has more power than darkness. And so as long as we focus on that and we keep spreading the light virus around, then everyone will catch it and this whole world will change. It's just a matter of time.
Billy, is there anything else you want to add to this conversation?
I just want to thank everyone for listening to me, taking the time to watch any videos or shows or documentaries that I may have been in. And, because without them listening and actually spreading that information, I wouldn't even be sitting here right now. So I just want to thank everyone.
Thank you so very much. Billy Carson, an enlightening conversation and really talking about taking our sovereignty back. This exclusive interview is part of our ongoing coverage of the Awakening UFO and Conscious Life Expo here in Blackpool. I'm Kristen Gillespie, your conscious investigative reporter. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wish you the best.